All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the legal cannabis industry. But, this isn't really a story about plants. It's a story about data. We're going to follow the invisible digital journey that every single one of these products takes from a tiny seed all the way to that dispensary shelf. So you'll walk into a dispensary and you see a product on the shelf. That's it, right? The end of the story? But really, it's just the last page. The real question is, how did it get there? How does the government and the industry itself know for sure that the product you're holding is safe, that it's been tested, and that every single gram is accounted for? Well, the answer lives in a kind of parallel digital universe. The whole thing breaks down into 4 big stages. It all starts with cultivation, obviously. Then it moves into manufacturing, where it gets turned into different products. After that, it has to get through this whole gauntlet of testing and transport, and finally, it lands in retail. We're going to follow the product through each step, in both the real world and, you guessed it, the digital one.
Okay, so first things first, let's ground ourselves in reality. Before a single byte of data is ever created, a real plant has to grow. This is the tangible side of the business, the dirt under the fingernails work that happens in the real world.
It kicks off with germination and growth, just like any other crop. Then comes the really labor-intensive part, harvesting and trimming. From there, we get into the science of it, extraction and processing to create things like oils or edibles. And then finally, everything gets put into its final package. But right here, this is where our story splits into 2. Because for every single one of those physical steps we just talked about, a parallel digital event has to be recorded. This process creates what's called a digital twin. It's a complete data-based replica of the physical product that is going to follow it for the rest of its life. And these 2 worlds, the physical and the digital, are totally intertwined. You've got the physical product you can actually hold in your hand, and then you have its digital twin, which holds every last piece of information about it. Its unique batch ID, all its lab results, its exact weight, its entire life story. In the legal market, one literally cannot exist without the other. The best way to think about it is like a digital passport. The moment a batch of plants is created, it gets a unique ID number in a big state-mandated system. And at every stage of the journey, from the grow house to the lab to the store, that passport gets a new digital stamp. It's how you make sure nothing gets lost. But for that passport to be readable everywhere, everyone has to be speaking the exact same language. And that brings us to a super important idea, the naming convention. Now, this isn't about catchy marketing names. This is the strict, ironclad grammar for how a product is identified in the system. It's the blueprint that makes sure every single item is logged in a way that's predictable and, more importantly, searchable. So if the naming convention is the grammar, the structure of the sentence, then the nomenclature is the official dictionary. It is a controlled, standardized list of words that everybody in the company has to use. You can't just call something gummies if the official term is gummy. It sounds small, but it prevents absolute chaos in the data. Let's put these 2 together. The naming convention gives you the structure, the formula, like brand, product, weight. The nomenclature gives you the approved words that you're allowed to plug into that formula. You absolutely need both for the language of compliance to work across all the different pieces of software a company is using.
And here's a perfect real-world example of why this matters so much. Using the abbreviation LRO for live rosin instead of LRE for live resin. I mean, that seems like a tiny detail, right? But it's actually massive. If you mix those up, you could have incorrect inventory, you could fail state audits, and you could give completely wrong info to customers. This shared language stops those huge mistakes before they even happen. And this quote right here, this is the golden rule that ties this entire system together. The physical product and its digital twin, the paperwork, have to move together, always, no exceptions. If it's moving from the farm to the lab or the lab to the store, and that data doesn't perfectly match the physical item, the whole process just grinds to a halt.
All right, so let's see how this all comes together in the final phase. This is where that digital passport faces its most important tests. At the lab, on the delivery truck, and finally at the cash register. Before anything can ever be sold, it has to pass through what you could call a regulatory gauntlet. A sample gets sent to a third-party lab. That lab uploads its results. It's called a Certificate of Analysis, or COA. That digital COA is then electronically attached to the product's digital twin. It's like a digital handshake. Only when that handshake is complete is the product legally cleared to be moved to a retailer. And here we are, the climax of this whole digital story.
When you're at the counter and the bud tender scans that barcode, that one single action does something pretty amazing. In that instant, it connects that physical package in your hand to its entire digital history, all the way back to the seed. And at the same time, it tells the state's compliance system, in real time, that this one specific item has been sold, officially completing its journey.
In that final scan, that little beep, it isn't just talking to one system. It's connecting an entire ecosystem of software. The state compliance system is the biggest piece of the puzzle, for sure. But that scan also has to talk to the store's point-of-sale system, the company's accounting software, and even the marketing platforms that run the online menus. It's a huge interconnected web.
So when you boil it all down, what's the key takeaway here? It's this. Even though it might look like farming and retail on the outside, the modern legal cannabis industry is, at its very core, a technology and data management business. Every single plant is backed up by a mountain of data that has to be managed perfectly.
Which kind of leaves us with a big final thought, right? This incredible level of transparency, this whole seed-to-sale tracking thing, it was born out of intense regulation for the cannabis industry. But as we all start to think more about supply chains and food safety and where our stuff actually comes from, could this be the future for everything we consume? From a head of lettuce to a bottle of wine? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?